Another round of applause for Gerardo and what he's doing over here. You know, I was reading on the history of El Salvador, and I think, you know, what dawned on me is that by President Bukele opening up this country to adopting Bitcoin, I think it's the first time in a long time that the average El Salvadoran has had a chance at upward mobility and a chance at sovereignty. And so the work that Gerardo and Evelyn are doing at the Bitcoin Center in Berlin to educate the locals, to help them understand low time preference values and the value proposition of Bitcoin is amazing. So good job, guys, and I'm proud to be here. Okay, I want to introduce to the stage, this is going to be a panel on coffee on the Bitcoin standard. Alan Jackson with the Freedom Tour. Harry. Jorge. Cherito. And Edgar.
What a great group of people today attending Economia Bitcoin. You know, I met a young couple in May of 2023 who shared a vision. I thought, dude, I want to go to Berlin. So May 14, 2023, I arrived in Berlin to meet Evelyn and Gerardo again. And the first thing we did, found some coffee. Coffee, the elixir of life, right? So on this planet, roughly 2.5 billion cups of coffee are consumed daily among over 1 billion people. And here in El Salvador, 88% of the population believe that coffee is an essential part of their daily lives. So what a great panel to talk about coffee. We have some great people here helping us, actually working in coffee. So if you could go along and introduce yourselves, tell us what you're doing in the coffee scene and how maybe you got into Bitcoin or how you're using Bitcoin with your coffee efforts.
Thank you very much. My name's Harry. I'm from Stoke-on-Trent in England, and I'm a first-generation coffee farmer here in El Salvador. Before I go on, I just want to say again, because it really needs to be emphasized, thank you to Gerardo and Evelyn, because they're the pioneers. There's always someone that takes the first step, and that's by far the hardest step. And they took that step, and none of this would happen without them. I wouldn't be here without them. I wouldn't be making coffee without them. And that's a big change in my life, you know. So I just want to say, again, thank you to Gerardo and Evelyn. And the Bitcoin Center, the Bitcoin Center, which is going strong, and it's been there ever since I moved here about 1.5 years ago. And what they do with the local community is fantastic. Teaching about Bitcoin, teaching English, really generating a lot of interest and a lot of passion in the young people. And it's really appreciated, you know. I'm living about 10 minutes away on a farm called La Cruz. I bought it about 1.5 years ago. It was an abandoned coffee farm. It was overgrown. There was a lot of weeds. They told me there were coffee plants. I couldn't see the coffee plants. I didn't even really know what a coffee plant looked like, to be honest with you. But it was at a time in my life when I knew I wanted to work in coffee. It kind of came hand in hand with the time that I realized that I wanted to also put all of my money into Bitcoin. So I thought, well, I might as well try and combine the two together because, well, I can't live without Bitcoin. And coffee seems to go well with Bitcoin. You figured that out as well? So I got the farm about 1.5 years ago, and just been working at it piece by piece, really, kind of learning as I go along, working very closely with the local community, and trying to get the place to a position where, well, it looks good, it's producing, and it's profitable, and it's a rocky road, It's tough, but bringing it back to Bitcoin, it would be basically impossible without Bitcoin. I wouldn't have done it without Bitcoin, because I suppose financially Bitcoin it slows time down for me, and I hear that from a lot of other Bitcoiners. And big projects like building a coffee farm is a long-term thing. So you've got to slow yourself down. You've got to really slow yourself down, and Bitcoin allows that. But it's not just that. It's the Bitcoin is probably the best customers I've ever had. They all love coffee, so that's a start. And they love spending Bitcoin, and they love supporting companies or projects which use Bitcoin or which promote Bitcoin. So, like, growing coffee, processing coffee, waking up super early, putting all that hard work in, when you have the reaction from the Bitcoin community with the sales and watching them enjoy the coffee and like just being fascinated with the project and showing genuine support, that keeps me going. It really does. And sorry, I'm going on a little bit now, but yeah, that's me.
Well, my name's Jorge Cruz Rubio. They call me Cherito. Cherito, for many of you that are not familiar with the Salvadorian Espanol, it means buddy. So I guess I am friends, amigo, and I'm very welcoming to everybody who comes. And not only in the Bitcoin space, but in general, El Salvador, until until very few years, was mostly an unknown destination to people that are here today. I've been fortunate today to meet wonderful people visiting from Iceland, Poland, Austria, and other countries that represent the ecosystem. And what that tells me is that, you know, first and foremost, I don't like to say I'm a Bitcoiner. I am a sovereign individual that Bitcoin has taught me many lessons. Farming has taught me many lessons. And this is where the connection between the two interrelate in the journey that I've taken in the past decade. I want to take a really quick break and parentheses and give a thank you to the organization here in Berlin. It's been since 2018 since I've last come here. And it's a blessing, it's a glorious morning to be present in this with everybody here. So thank you, Evelyn, thank you, Jethro, and everybody, both locals and international community who have put their time here. So moving on, I am a third generation coffee producer. Although I live half of my life elsewhere, both for academic purposes and professional purposes, my calling was always to come back to El Salvador. So around 2010, 2011, I took the big dip. And when I say the big dip, I came at the worst time in the history of El Salvador, even worse than when we had a civil war. And I always like to say that because where we are right now, it wouldn't have been a dream, not even like something in the space. So when Bukele took over, and 2 years later he announced the Bitcoin as a legal tender, by then I had already been 4 years into Bitcoin, and the connection to Bitcoin was always looking for the sovereignty. Jethro announced 4 pillars that are the North Star of this community. I represent, before being Cherito as a coffee guy, I am a producer, and on behalf of our family, our workers, we represent a group of 25 small and medium-sized coffee producers from various coffee denomination origins of El Salvador, from the Western Front in Apaneca, Ahuachapan, to Chalatenango in the northern region. Back then in 2018, when I was here for the very last time, right before the lockdowns, we were here with our team providing technical assistance and technology transfer education to a group of small farmers who had the potential to improve their yield in a agroecology perspective. So our BioCrop project has also 4 pillars. One is to produce exceptional coffees. Number 2 is diversification, because we also teach them how to grow other goods so they can have other revenue streams like honey, because the bees play a fundamental role in coffee culture. Number 3 is agroecology. And number 4, as of 2 years ago, is to be on the Bitcoin standard. So when the BioCrop project by Tierra Bendita, when we talk about a consortium, it's not a cooperative. There's no, I want this and I don't want that. You're either in or you're out in a respectful manner. We represent your microlots to the highest bidders abroad. And when we export and ship to Singapore, China, US, Canada, and now in Europe, we leave a very limited and very scarce part of the crop, which we call the reserve lot, for our Bitcoin community under the Satoshi brand, under the Satoshi story, because each set inside the bags represent our proof of work, time, and the energy throughout the whole year. So that is what I tell people, that is my connection, because we're not competitive at mining, but we're competitive producing some of the coffee beans in the world. So thanks to the community, we're able to annex ourselves into a circular economy, of which we're very proud to be in. I'm not an educator. I just try to show people by being visual and letting them receive some sats, and then letting them ask questions. And this is when we try to approach educational folks so they can join our community in Chalatenango or Ahuachapán. So thank you again. And one last thing. When I say agroecology, it's the science of mycelium. That was my connection also, because the mycelium, everything that connects the earth, everything that connects all the trees, was my conversion back around 2017, 2018, and to Bitcoin also, because when the earth gets attacked, the earth protects itself. As Harry mentioned, the weed and everything, it's in Spanish, it's called maleza. Just when you say maleza, it already has a bad connotation, because mal is the opposite of good. But no, it's actually the earth protecting itself. And when we see chemtrails fly across our skies, when we see all those things, that when we see rain in the summertime and there's no change of moon cycle, the earth begins to protect itself, and it makes stronger. So humans create other agrochemicals to try to just make business out of it. And Bitcoin, whenever it gets attacked, the protocol becomes stronger. So this is where sovereignty begins. It's a fight for survival. Thank you.
All right. Hello. Okay. Hi everyone. So like you can see, I'm Edgar. I'm Berlin guy. So I was born here in Berlin. A little bit about me. I'm 20 years old. I'm studying at the University about public accounting career. So I feel so happy to be able to be in front of you and to be able to talk about Bitcoin and coffee. Because as you know, coffee makes Salvador to be El Salvador. So I'm happy to be able to talk about it with them. So 1 year ago, I was be able to meet Harry. So we started the project La Cruz, the coffee farmers that nowadays he is the owner next to somebody else. So I'm working with them with accounting stuff. So to be able to combine Bitcoin and accounting, it has been a little bit interesting, because sometimes there is a challenge, but sometimes also, and it looks like so interesting how do we change fiat system at the moment that we are gonna pay the workers, or at the moment that we're gonna pay different stuff. And and also I'm so happy to be able to explore the coffee work, because coffee means a lot of things here in El Salvador, and to explore the work next to them, that's something so that's something that makes me so happy.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, Harry, the title of the session is Coffee on a Bitcoin Standard. What does that mean to you, and how do you interact or work with that?
Well, on a Bitcoin standard to me means living your whole life spending and earning only Bitcoin, which is hard to do, but it's a lot easier to do in Berlin than it is to do anywhere else. I mean, try doing that in the UK. I tried. People just laugh at you in the UK. So a part of my original plans for the project, before I really knew much about coffee agriculture or processing or roasting or brewing or anything, I realized that Bitcoin was going to have to be incorporated into global trade at some point. And coffee is one of those commodities which is obviously very global. And as Cherito is kind of inspired me to do himself is how to really innovate with Bitcoin, which you've been doing quite admirably, and how best to make it work in a way that's really going to benefit people, rather than just as this sort of gimmick, like Bitcoin. We are a Bitcoin company, so the Bitcoiners buy all of our coffee. That's great, but how are we actually going to use Bitcoin to improve the relationship between the roaster and the farmer and the customer and the barista and all of this? And I really believe it's possible. And we're still very early. Just everything Bitcoin related feels like we're just so early. But it's such an exciting time to be having these ideas and to be trying to implement them here, and for me in the UK. But specifically working here next to Berlin is very handy, because I can do pretty much everything if I put my mind to it with Bitcoin. I'm a little bit lazy. I'm quite tired most of the time. So do I want to wait at Super Selectos for them to get the Windows program open to accept an on-chain Bitcoin payment? Not always. But we're pushing to get as much of it sort of Bitcoinized as possible. And I don't know where everyone here has come from, but I would seriously suggest, if you're a proper Bitcoiner, to look into moving to El Salvador. You're going to hear a lot of things from a lot of people, positive and negative, especially with regards to the IMF deal and the way that they responded to that in the government. But my feeling here on the ground is the cat's out of the bag. You can go anywhere here and say, can I pay with Bitcoin? And they're not going to look at you as they do in England like you're an idiot. They're going to say, yes, not yet, or no. But but even when they say no, they know what Bitcoin is. You can't put the cat back in the bag. So this really is the place to be if you're a Bitcoiner. I buy building materials with Bitcoin. You know, I buy machinery with Bitcoin. I pay my staff with Bitcoin. I buy pupusas with Bitcoin. And the best thing is, I'm earning Bitcoin. So now you might have noticed the price of Bitcoin is going a little bit in the wrong direction. Well, if you've got products to sell, that's not all such a bad thing. So bear that in mind, okay? It really alleviates any of that sort of market fluctuation stress that you may or may not be feeling. Yeah, so it is a massive part of what I do, obviously.
So, Jorge, how do you deal with the volatility of Bitcoin with your customers and your employees?
Well, yes, as Harry mentioned, right now the dip has been always a challenge. This kind of fluctuations, especially in our cash-driven industry like coffee. And it cannot be any worse than where we were before, because before Bitcoin, before I discovered Bitcoin and how it works, coffee prices as a commodity, which is a word invented by the fiat, the most perverse fiat people in the world, from London and New York, they created this financial instrument called commodity. So we've been subject to the C price forever. So if everybody talks about Bitcoin's volatility, for me, it's like where I come from, it's inhumane. When I started this and I sold my crop for 60 cents a pound, and I got paid 10 months later. So our journey to receiving 3 cents for every cup of coffee the people get, the people purchase wherever they are, we get 3 cents for every cup of coffee, and we get it 10 months later. So when people say, oh, Bitcoin's price is down, I mean, to be worse than where we come from and to survive and being able to not migrate to other countries, paint houses and do labor that I don't want to do. I want to preserve my farm. I want to help my family. This has been like, you know, we don't really focus on the price volatility. Our staff has one thing. Everybody that works with the Cherito team, this is on the commercial side, they've gone through my first Bitcoin programs, the workshops, and they're very passionate. They're the ones who say, you know, if you pay with Bitcoin, you get a discount. If you get a cappuccino, 25, 50 cents, to fellow Salvadorians. And then just to kind of like ignite the candle, because you need somebody, and the merchant is key for adoption. And as merchants, we are obligated to tell them, you know, we'll give you a discount, but or kind of like over coffee, try to orange pill them at least to let them see how it works as a medium of exchange. So it's key if Bitcoin can be a store of value, but here in El Salvador, medium of exchange is key, because the faster the circulation of this currency, the faster it goes to other hands and to other hands and to other wallets. And within 6-10 years, you know, as Harry says, we're so early, who knows? We're growing slowly but surely, and that's important. Events like this, I am proud to be here today, and I'm confident that they're going to be a reference. And when we take a picture of all of us today, we're going to be looking back into future generations, and it's going to be one of those Alexandrias that President Bukele was talking about. So again, kudos to everybody here. Thank you.
Very good. And Edgar, so from the eyes of a young person, being part of the whole Berlin experiment, and it's not experiment, experience, how do you view Bitcoin growth? I mean, what are you seeing that excites you about what's happening here in Berlin?
Right. From my point of view, since almost 2 years and a half ago, that I just started to be part of this project. I mean, the circular economy that Evelyn and Gerardo started, or they decided to do here. So, by the way, thanks for that. And well, the changes that I have been seeing here in Berlin are a lot. For young people like me, here in Berlin, Bitcoin means many opportunities. For example, for Bitcoin, I started to learn English almost 1 year and a half ago. So nowadays, I feel too much comfortable at the moment that I'm talking in English. So, and also it means more opportunities. Not only at the language barrier, also it means jobs opportunity. Because, like I said before, I'm working with Harry in the coffee environment. I earn some Bitcoin. I'm be able to pay my own university, and also other positive things that I have been seeing. Is that there are a lot of people like them arriving here in Berlin, bringing projects and bringing new job opportunities for local people. And also it means that the Berlin's economy is growing a lot nowadays. Not only about money, it's also growing about new culture, new knowledge, and also new local people who are here. Nowadays they are part of the Berlin. So Berlin, I mean Bitcoin Berlin means a lot nowadays.
Can I-
Excellent.
Can I, can I, can I just add to that as well? Edgar, I think you didn't speak any English, what, a year ago?
Yeah.
He's taught himself English by hanging out with Bitcoiners. And he's now on a stage talking to a room full of people. I think that's pretty impressive, personally.
Yeah, good job, Edgar. So I'm going to take 30 seconds. Give somebody out there who's considering living on the Bitcoin standard, give them some inspirational encouragement. Someone who's weighing, is it worth doing? Should I do it? I'm a little fearful. What would you say to inspire somebody to live on the Bitcoin standard?
Well, the first thing is you've got to spend your Bitcoin, right? A lot of people, they hold on to it and they don't want to spend it. And when I bought the farm, obviously it's like, I could have kept the Bitcoin and it would have gone up and it would have been better, but no. You've got to get in there. You've got to meet people. You've got to build stuff. That's where you get the real stability. Bitcoin gives us stability, but there's nothing better than a community to give you proper stability. So I think consider spending it on something that you can build and work with other people.
Very good. Jorge.
Well, there's no success without hardships. So go if you want to really, really have your calling outside your virtual world and the computer. I think is what Harry's doing has my respects, because I can understand anybody putting on a restaurant or a cafe and being in love with life, but when you really put on Harry's shoes, look at this guy. They're not spit shine. So, find something that's going to generate a hardship, and God will find you a way and a path in a real Bitcoin journey. So that's my...
Great. Very good. And Edgar, final words from Edgar. Final words. What do you want to share with the audience?
All right. What I will say is that now that you are here in Berlin, try to experience all those stuff that Bitcoin has made here, and try to get a different point of view of Bitcoin. Because for all of you, or almost all of you, you have an expert daily Bitcoin daily routine. So go ahead with that now that you are here in Berlin.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing. I think that's it. We have time for one question? One question. Who has one question? Is it time, Jethro, or no? Time. Okay, very good.
Thank
you
you
so much.
Thank you very much.